The Bridgegate product has two main visual components. The first is what we call the Bridgegate Workbench. The Workbench is where you do the one-time configuration and any ongoing maintenance. You'll note that within the Bridgegate product, we have integrated help that's context sensitive, so as you move around the product, help will change depending on where you're at. The development process is very simple and straightforward. Just follow the top navigation bar. Generally, we create an inbound template. An inbound template represents the incoming data source. This could be anything from database, HL7, FHIR, proprietary data, EDI. The next step is to define the outbound. The outbound is where the mapping and translation is set up. This allows you to take data from its data source, say HL7, and convert it into, say, database inserts or updates. The third section is workflow. This is where you set up the steps to solve the integration problem. Then we move forward onto testing and deployment. So let's look at what an inbound template looks like. So in this example, we have a traditional HL7 message. So on the right-hand side are all the different segments that make up the HL7 message. Within our product, we have all the industry standards built in for healthcare and other industries. So for example, if you're looking at HL7, you could look at the latest FHIR standards. We have already built in standard version 5, and we're working on version 6 when that is released. So all of the standards are built into the product to allow you to quickly create that incoming data source. If you're dealing with a proprietary or a database, the product allows you to connect to those systems and read the metadata and build the templates automatically for you. Also, if you're working off of standards, we include all the edit and validation standards that are available with those industry standards. You can customize them, add new ones, delete them. You have complete configuration and control over them. Bridgegate can create an inbound template off of a CSV or a flat file. It can read the header and create the template off the header information. So this is an example. So we go in and create the template. We select the CSV file or other delimited file. It will then parse the header and create the template for you automatically. So this is what the template looks like on the right-hand side. All of the fields from the header are automatically added in to allow you to start processing this CSV. Other formats, things like connecting to databases, anything that has metadata, there's all types of convenience features within the product to allow you to quickly create the templates. The second step in this process is to create the outbound. So the outbound is where the data destination is going to be. Where do you convert this data into? Within Bridgegate, there's no programming required. It's all drag and drop configuration. So on the left-hand side is our HL7 data that's coming in. The right-hand side in this example is we're inserting it into a database. So you essentially just drag and drop from left to right and create the semantic mapping. So in this case, we're connecting an email from the HL7 coming in into the database email column. But you will go through each one of the columns and do the semantic mapping. You can then go in and do data grooming. So for example, if you're working with phone numbers and you need to remove formatting, if you need to add formatting, if you need to break apart, if you have a name field that's a full name and you need to break it into parts, all of that is available within the product without any custom coding or programming. Once you finish your inbound and outbound and your mappings and your data conversions, you can move to testing. So within Bridgegate, we have a nice feature called Test by Template. This allows you to copy and paste some test data and then set breakpoints. So you can right-click, create a breakpoint. You can also create a conditional breakpoint. This allows you to do, break on a certain value of a field or on an instance of a field. So once you set up your breakpoint, you can click Start. It'll take the data, it runs it through the translator, and it'll stop on this record. And you can actually see the details of the data as it's walking through the system. You can step each field and make sure that your mapping and your data conversions are all proper. The next step is to create your workflow. And this is where you define what is the integration process. So in this case, this is a traditional HL7 message where we're receiving the data via a socket. But if you want to move to a more modern technology, it's as simple as accessing the pull-down menu and changing it to, say, a RESTful web service. So in this case, that HL7 could be sent to a RESTful web service endpoint, and the data will process through the system. We also have, in this case, we're taking the data from its source and we're writing it into a relational database. We support all the standard relational databases, anything with a JDBC driver. These are not hard-coded. These can be added in as new database drivers are available or new systems are invented. We also have very detailed workflow processing, allow you to do if statements, conditional logic, error handling. All of that is available within the product. After you've developed your workflow, you then can go through a round of testing and deploy it to your testing environment and eventually your production environment. This is the Bridgegate portal. This is where you go to view the transaction history for the integration projects that you have set up. So for example, these are all the different transactions. I can drill into the details of a particular transaction by clicking here on the transaction ID. And here you'll see all the details of this transaction. In this case, we're getting data. And here you can actually see the raw data. So everything within Bridgegate has user permissions associated with it. So if you have a user that should not be viewing the details for any type of privacy laws, then those features can be disabled and these files will not be available. No PHI or other information will be available. But in this case, we have it turned on for this example. So you can see all the details around, in this case, a file. You can see the file name, the size, all of that information. All of this information is dynamic and can be used within the workflow engine. So if you have any type of conditional logic based on file names, if you need to create directory names, file names, paths, URLs, any of those things can be dynamically created. So these are all the details around that integration. Again, this screen will look exactly the way you set it up on the previous screen when you were working on the workbench. Within the product, we have business activity monitoring. Business activity monitoring lets you set up rules to monitor transactions or expected transactions. So we take a proactive approach to monitoring. So for example, if you're expecting to receive data to say one of your web services, or your sockets or something like that, then you can set up rules that say, I expect to receive data at least 5 times a day or every minute or something like that. And if you don't receive data, you'll be alerted. So it's a proactive approach. We also do the traditional reactive monitoring where if you try to connect to a system, the system's down, you'll be notified. All of that's available within the product. We also have a very nice feature called tracking reports. Tracking reports allows you to define what's important to you in your system when you're building your integration. So in this example, we're tracking patient ID. So we want to be able to trace a patient ID across all integrations that touch that patient. So it's very simple and configurable within the product. Again, no coding required. It's all drag and drop, pull down menus. And again, completely configurable. You can track anything that you want within the system. This is not meant to be a data warehouse. It's meant to just give you visibility in how your systems integration, your interoperability workflows are created. Within the product, we have full visibility into everything that's happening. So you have administration, you have the ability to look at the server, and Bridgegates can be clustered across many physical servers. So in this case, we just have one, but you see how much memory is being used, how many active transactions on the server, all of this. You don't have to dig into low-level log files. All the information is available within our easy-to-use portal.